Text messaging, hey, it occurs all the time, but would it ever give rise to a claim for involuntary manslaughter? Well, let's take a look at this week's case. It involves a real woman, Michelle Carter. Michelle was a teenager. She subsequently became 21 when this case reached the courts. She had a friend, Conrad Roy, and their exact relationship is unknown, except that they were good friends, and Conrad basically had confided with Michelle on a number of occasions. He was a very troubled young man, and he was having all kinds of mental issues. At one point in time, she said, you know, Conrad, I think you need to see a psychiatrist. And then he said, you know, I've had it, I think I'm going to commit suicide. And then she changed her basic approach and said, just go ahead, just do it. Well, he did. He proceeded to take his truck, and he had a hose running from the exhaust into the cab of the truck so that he would be poisoned by carbon monoxide. At the time he was doing this, he was texting her, and he was telling her what he was doing. She would text back to him, and she was aware of his very conflicted motivations here and whether he really wanted to do this, but she continued to text him, and at one point in time he got out of the truck and she texted him and said, get back in the truck, which he did. And unfortunately, he died. He died of the suicide. Well, when the facts of this all came to light, she was charged with involuntary manslaughter, engaging in action which brought the death of a human being. She contended, well, wait a second, you know, these were just texts. I was a teenager at the time, and this is just the way I felt about it. But the prosecutor pointed out, well, hang on a second, not only did you tell him just do it, not only did you tell him to get back in the truck, but after this happened, you never called the police, you didn't summon any medical help, you did nothing. And as a result of that, and as a result of this kind of activity, which was completely callous to the well-being of a human being, we think you committed involuntary manslaughter. Case went to court, and the court agreed with the prosecutor and said, you are guilty of involuntary manslaughter, and she was sentenced. Well, what is involuntary manslaughter? Involuntary manslaughter is engaging in reckless conduct or conduct that is known or anticipated to cause harm or possible death to someone else. Another example, well-known case that's studied in law school is of some boys who were out hunting, and they were on a farm, and at one point in time there's a passing passenger train. This is old days when there were lots of passenger trains, passing passenger train, and the boys, just on a lark, began shooting their rifle toward the passenger train just to scare the passengers. Well, they hit one of the passengers and killed them. The court found particularly the boy that was shooting, responsible for involuntary manslaughter. He didn't intend to kill the passenger he killed, but he engaged in reckless conduct that was with a complete disregard for the well-being of human beings, many times referred to as malice. And as a result of that, he was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter. Here, she engaged in conduct when she said, get back in the truck, just do it, and when she did nothing to assist him after the suicide was underway, she did this with complete disregard for the well-being of a human being with actual malice, and accordingly, she was found guilty. Okay, bringing this case, we bring cases every week so you understand how the law works. I'm David Allen.